decades. A lot has happened over the past 7 decades, but you'll hear more about that later in our meeting. I wish we could be meeting in person today. We've met virtually for this is the 3rd year. It's not ideal, but the 2 previous years we had renovations at the house and COVID to deal with. This year we are, as we speak, wrapping up some floor work at the Smith McDowell House. Next year we will meet there. So the Western North Carolina Historical Association is led by a board of 15 trustees working with the professional staff of 2 people. I believe it is important for you as members to know who the trustees are. After all, you elect us, and it is my pleasure now to recognize my fellow trustees and staff. I thank you all for all the work you do to help tell the history of Western North Carolina. In my opinion, telling and understanding our history is becoming more important every day. Our trustees are as follows: James Bradley, Catherine Broad, Kirk Brown, Jim Buchanan, Jeff Cantrell, Vice President, Catherine Frank, Martha Fullington, Dee James, Stephen Lee Johnson, Michael McLaughlin, Secretary, Peter Osteen Cochran, Alan Tarleton, Immediate Past President, and Dirk Wilmot, Treasurer. Our staff are Ann Chesky, Executive Director, and Trevor Freeman, Director of Education. Our first item of business today is to elect 2 new trustees and re-elect 5 trustees to new terms. But before I turn the program over to Alan Tarleton, who is chair of the Board Development and Nominating Committee, I want to acknowledge and thank Carrie Glover for 9 years of dedicated service to the association. Carrie took her job as trustee seriously, served as secretary, coordinated public relations for a good part of her terms, and was a valuable liaison with our good neighbor and former landlord, the Asheville Buncombe Technical Community College. Carrie, if you are joining us by Zoom, I want you to know how much we appreciate all that you've done and look forward to a long continued relationship. Now, Alan, do you want to take over?
Sure. Thanks, Ralph. And thanks to everyone who is attending. So a little bit of background here. This is the formality by which we actually elect new members to the board and re-elect members whose terms, at least interim terms, have expired. Truth be known, we've been working as trustees even though we haven't been formally elected, or many of us, or formally re-elected. The 2 who've been putting in yeoman work as trustees, but without having been formally elected through this means, are Catherine Broad and Kirk Brown. Let me give you a little bit of background about each of them. First, Kirk is a good close friend of mine and the recently retired chaplain of Christ School. Kirk received his AB from Davidson College, a master's from the University of Virginia in Germanic Studies, and a Master of Divinity degree from Virginia Theological Seminary. He's a lifelong educator, has a keen interest in history. He's taught German and English for 12 years at Virginia Episcopal School, and then attended seminary and was ordained as an Episcopal priest. After 3 years at St. John's Church in Roanoke, Virginia, he returned to education, serving 24 years as chaplain at Christ School and teaching religion. Kirk lives with his wife and my former law partner, Shelley, on a farm in Fletcher. He currently serves on the Advancement Council for UNC Press and has years of experience in the nonprofit world. It's probably appropriate that we, well, I'm going to say for sake of efficiency that we might have an election of both on one ticket of Kirk and Catherine Brode. So let me introduce Catherine to you, please. Catherine has been with us for a relatively short time, but it's like we would just be lost without her at this point. Same with Kirk, by the way. But Catherine moved to Asheville just a few years ago. She's a retired college and university administrator and teacher. Her last professional position was as vice president of advancement at Purchase College of State University of New York, where she was responsible for fundraising, including capital campaigns. She held a similar position at a larger college in the Chicago area. But while at Purchase, she was on the board of trustees of the Neuberger Museum in Westchester County. She's received a number of awards from the Council for Advancement and Supportive Education, and has been on case panels and spoken nationally about fundraising and development. She has a daughter completing a PhD in art from Duke and a son, whom she's visiting currently, formerly an attaché in the State Department, who's in the MBA program at Vanderbilt. And Catherine, by the way, put her good experience to work most recently leading a retreat the board had. What was that? Earlier this month or last?
The end of March.
End of March. We'd already be lost without each of these. And so I'm pleased to nominate officially and ask for votes electing both Catherine Brode and Kirk Brown as trustees to the board. And I think, and correct me if I'm mistaken, that the way we're going to do this is by some virtual show of hands, which I see 2 participants have already. I will raise mine in actuality. And I'm not sure if you've been keeping up through the questions and answers, but we have a number of participants who have 2 or possibly more observers and who may be able to vote. So
yes, I see we've got a number of people raising your hands to vote for Catherine as a new trustee. If you will go to the bottom of your screen and raise your hand if you would like to vote yes, that would be great. If you have a household membership or above and have multiple people in your household, so you'd like to vote more than once, we do have to get to a quorum of 25 votes. So if you could put in the question and answer box how many people you're voting for or a proxy for, that would be wonderful. And we'll see if we can get to 25.
We can go on with the other part of the meeting, don't you think? While people vote.
I believe so. But correct me, I believe we are actually voting both for Catherine and for Kirk.
And for Kirk as well. Sorry, I had to join. I joined a little bit late. I was having some technical problems. So for Catherine and Kirk, we're at we're at 16 votes. And I don't think our panelists are, and so Alan, are you voting for 2 and Ralph proxy for 2?
Yes.
17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We need one more. Yes, thank you, Cynthia. We've hit our quorum.
Good.
Well, let's do this again then. So there are 4 currently serving trustees who are eligible for re-election. And I'm proposing that each of these be re-elected and will be crestfallen if they're not. They are Catherine Frank, Keita Osteen Cochran, Ralph Simpson, and Dirk Wilmot. Ralph and Dirk are currently members of our executive committee serving as officers of the board. both Catherine and Keita have made tremendous contributions, and we need them back. So I'm pleased to nominate and ask for the re-election of Catherine Frank, Keita Osteen Cochran, Ralph Simpson, and Dirk Wilma.
And I unraised all your hands, so you can re-raise your hands. And if you, again, will put in the chat box if you're voting proxy for how many people you're voting for, yourself included. And you can really, if you are only voting for one person, that's fine. You don't need to tell me, just if you have more than one. Oh, we're at 24, 25. Thank you all. All right, we have, that has passed as well. Thank you.
Well, Ralph,
Alan, thank you for handling that for us, that important piece of business.
thank you.
We're all, I think, duly sworn in. Anne, our executive director, Anne Chesky, will now give a review of the past year and tell us some of the things, the important things, many important things have happened. Anne?
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah, and thank you, Alan. We have been doing a lot this year. I know we've been most visible through our programs, and many thanks to our public programs director, Trevor Freeman, who's also hosting this meeting tonight, for spearheading those efforts, as well as our many trustees who are involved in our programming efforts. Because we've been closed to the public for renovations this year, we haven't hosted anything really on site, but we have had some in-person programming. With the renovations, we have done a lot, and we can't wait to welcome you all back in to see them. Over the last 3 years, we've done a brand new roof on the facility first, so that everything underneath it is protected, as well as a new HVAC system, new exterior and interior painting, plaster repair. We've completely redone the kitchen, so we'll be able to host more events in the future. And we're still working on a few other things. Actually, as we speak, we're having the floors cleaned and worked on. And we'll be doing a lot of stuff to increase ADA accessibility, as well as security and lighting with the building, so that when we welcome you all back in, it will be as safe and accessible as possible. Another thing that we did, and that we've been working on, we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. It hasn't been super visible, but it's all leading up to our big announcement tonight. We participated in the conservation assessment program, which helped us know what we needed to do to preserve the house and to make it more accessible to people. We also participated in the museum assessment program, and these are both programs that are done by large organizations, and we received grants to participate in them. For the museum assessment program, what we actually worked on was the interpretation and education in our facility, and Ralph will be talking more about that. But it was a year-long process that staff and trustees participated in, and it really guided what we're going to be doing in the future. And that being said, what we are going to be doing in the future is funded generously by our members and donors, but also by a number of organizations that have given us grants over the past year, including the National Endowment for the Humanities, NC Humanities, and Arts Asheville, as well as the Preservation Society, among others. And so we really appreciate those funds. They've really enabled us to move forward with this. So as far as our programs go, I think people who are here tonight have certainly participated in our programs over the last year. We had 22 History Hour programs that were organized around monthly themes, Pride, Black History, sports, music, to name a few. We also had a couple hybrid events, and Ollie has been a great partner in these. We've had a number of other collaborations and partnerships throughout the year, including with AmeriCorps, Project Conserve, the Catholic Charities, Chimney Rock State Park, the South Asheville Cemetery Association, Friends of the Mars Hill Anderson Rosenwald School, the Buncombe County Special Collections, Ollie, of course, Carolina Village, the Swannanoa Valley Museum, the Appalachian Barn Alliance, and many more. And we will continue to collaborate as much as possible with these area organizations who are doing really wonderful things as well. We also did hikes and other tours off-site, including 9 hikes with a historian, which included a 4-part cemetery series, which was very well received, and hopefully we'll be able to redo a similar series in 2003 and moving forward. We also did tours of the Mars Hill Anderson Rosenwald School, as well as a free Juneteenth hike out at, I think it was Chimney Rock, if that's right, Trevor. And we also hosted several Read WNC book talks with either the author or a local expert on the topic of the novel. So I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon. I just want to mention a few other things that we accomplished this year, thanks to you all, including our 2 awards that we have been awarding since the 1950s, one since 1952 and one since 1956. This year we awarded the Thomas Wolfe Memorial Literary Award to Brent Martin for his book on George Massa, and the Outstanding Achievement Award to the Rail Memorial Project for their work memorializing and recognizing the mostly African-American men and women who built the railroad up the grade from Old Fort into Asheville, and really opened up the area for development. And they did this as incarcerated people, unwillingly and under brutal conditions. And so we recognize the Rail Project and many other projects that are going on in our community for their great work. So I will go ahead and turn it over to Ralph Simpson. A lot of planning behind the scenes has gone into this announcement, but our president of our board of trustees, Ralph, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Ann, and thank you for the update. A lot has happened, including planning for this announcement today. And I just want to let the members know now that this afternoon, they're part of the rich history of Western North Carolina, because you're present for the announcement of the establishment of the Asheville Museum of History. For more than a quarter century, various groups have talked about, studied, dreamed about a museum that tells the history of Asheville in Western North Carolina. Today it's happening. Asheville Museum of History will open early this fall in the Smith McDowell House. As Ann noted, the house has been undergoing major renovations for more than 2 years. Those repairs and improvements have been made possible through the generosity of the late Mrs. Virginia McDowell Colwell, a descendant of the original family. In her will, Mrs. Colwell left more than $2 million to maintain and preserve the house. Western North Carolina Historical Association is deeply grateful for Mrs. Colwell's concern and vision. Asheville Museum of History is a new museum in an old house. The house has been repaired and taken back to the way it was in the beginning. Well, almost. We kept modern updates such as electricity and plumbing, but we did not undertake a strict historical preservation. But all the spaces are the same today that they were in the beginning. And they're now suitable for exhibits and programming. You will notice a big change in exhibits and programming once we reopen. There will be several permanent exhibits, including a long timeline. And how many feet long is it? It's about 30 or 40.
35.
35 feet long, going down the hallway. And it will tell the history of Western North Carolina. We will have thematic exhibits in various facets of our history in other rooms. And there will also, of course, be changing exhibits. The museum will lend itself to on-site programs, thank goodness, lectures, conversations, meetings, even music and performance events that can happen in small places. I will say what the museum is not, and it will not be what is sometimes referred to as an event venue. We also plan to enjoy the beautiful grounds surrounding the house, shaded lawns with remnants of gardens designed by the famous Olmsted firm. And our long range or intermediate range plans are to do some restoration of the gardens. But right off the bat, maybe even this summer, we hope to have events, or certainly by the fall, outside. The museum's home is still very much the Smith McDowell house. Now, though, the house will be used to tell a much fuller history, not just of one family and one period of time. For example, we will share stories about the enslaved people who lived and worked on the property. Visitors really can come to the museum, spend an hour, and leave with a much fuller and better understanding of Western North Carolina's rich and diverse history. We will tell stories of the mountains, cultural, social, economic, political, as well as the natural history, going back 10 million years, I think, or at least 10,000, to the creation of the mountains even. Even though our name is the Asheville Museum of History, its focus is on all of Western North Carolina. Establishing Asheville Museum of History has been a 3-year process. Our fundamental mission has not changed, just the scope and process of how we seek to be a vital educational and cultural institution. We hope you will join us. As members, we will keep you abreast of all the exciting things that are happening. And as we prepare to open, we hope you will be ambassadors for the museum and share your interest and enthusiasm with others. We depend on you for that. As members, if you want a sneak preview of what's in store, call the museum and let us know. Either Ann, Trevor, or any of the trustees will be happy to show you around and tell you more about what's in store. Also, a press release about the new museum will be posted on our website tomorrow morning. And that website is ashevillehistory.org, or you can go to our old website, wnchistory.org, and you'll be directed to the new website. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. We look forward to seeing you in person soon. Ann, do you have anything you would like to add?
I've just shared my screen, which is our new website, ashevillehistory.org. You'll notice over the next couple days, we'll be switching all of our social media and other accounts over to Asheville Museum of History. Communications that you get from us will come from Asheville Museum of History. But our old website and emails and all that will still work. They will just redirect. But if you'd like to see a little preview of what's coming up, check out our website, click through. We'll be updating it over the next 6 months as we prepare for our reopening. And I just want to thank you all for being here, for being supporters, and thank all of our trustees. This has been a long but very rewarding process, and we're so excited about the future. So thank you all.
And let me just add a personal note, and that is, if anyone, I've invited you to call the museum to get a sneak preview, or you can, if you want to discuss it, I'll be glad to talk to you. You can call me. My phone number's not on the website though, is it?
I wouldn't
My
give my
email
phone
address,
number out.
my email address is ralphsimpsonnc@gmail.com. So I look forward to talking to you.
All right, so if anybody does have any questions and would like to put it in the question and answer, we can answer those now. Otherwise, yes, feel free to email Ralph or email me at director@ashevillehistory.org. And yeah, we'll be happy to share with you. So thank you
Oh, I
all for
didn't
being
realize
here.
we had, I didn't realize we had the capability. So people could ask us questions now?
They can, yes. I don't have anything in the chat right now.
Okay, okay.
But yes, if you do have anything and you want to put it in the chat, that would be great. But I don't see anything coming through. So if you do have questions moving forward, after you've taken a look at the website and as things progress, please email us and let us know.
Well, since we've conducted our official business and had this discussion, if there are no questions, I will declare the meeting adjourned. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you all.